we pop the champagne to get this conversation going?
Yes, let's do it.
I love it. I'm scared where this is gonna go.
No.
I'm not gonna aim it at you.
We've done this a million times.
Don't worry.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. All right.
That really has never happened.
That has
never happened.
Of course, right? Yeah. We'll shook it. That's hilarious. Oh, thank you.
Welcome.
As we're pouring the champagne that did not spill on the carpet.
Nope.
Never. We are really excited to be here today to talk to the boutique More to Love about all the incoming questions we've had essentially over the year, and just to answer all those questions that everybody is, dying to know as they plan their weddings. And we're hoping that we can have some really great answers for you today.
Yeah, and we have definitely some burning questions about alterations.
Amazing.
We're here for it. Does a bride ask questions about anything else other than alterations? Right. I don't know. Yeah. Sometimes that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're super excited to have some experts here with us. So yeah.
Hey.
Amazing.
Cheers.
Let's get into a great conversation.
Yes. Cheers. All right. Who wants to start?
Okay. Let me just grab some paper towel.
I love it. Yep. That's going to be a good
save the carpet.
Right? Yeah.
That's going to be a good blooper.
Let's spray some couture saver.
Do you know what happened? When Keisha on the weekend was fitting, and for some reason her knee started bleeding, blood all over the carpet. And I was like, oh my god, did you use like dish soap? And she's like, no, I use the couture saver, and it got it out. So I feel like today we've written a couple questions down because we had to talk about what have we seen over the last bit, what are brides coming in with, and we kind of narrowed down some of the hot topics. But what have you been finding this season? Because you guys are really starting to ramp up now.
Yes.
And I'm sure the questions are happening. So what's been going on here?
I mean, should we just get right into it?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So probably the thing that we hear, one of the things that we hear the most, okay, there's a lot of things, is how much can I expect basic alterations to change the overall look of the dress? So like things like we hear in appointments like, oh, the dress is too long and I'm gonna lose all this beautiful detail when I shorten it. So what does that mean? How is that gonna look? And also the second thing is adding sleeves.
That's been a big one this year. Adding the sleeves.
Arm coverage, that kind of thing. How possible is it if I don't have an armhole?
Right, if you don't have an armhole.
Yes.
So if there is no armhole, it definitely makes things pretty challenging. We have done different things, and you can totally chime in on this, where a bride, we've added like a little spaghetti strap, and then she's had these almost little clipped in flutter sleeves, which is a nice addition. But it really does depend on the armhole and armhole placement. I know this is a hot topic for you because it seems to come up quite a bit, but what kind of styles have we typically seen with that? Besides the flutter, I feel like that's a big one, and the separate.
Yes, I definitely think a big trend is those removable glove style sleeves. It's just like a tube, but at least it kind of comes up high enough that they get some of the coverage they want.
Right.
I find when you're trying to sew in a full sleeve into a gown, not only having an armhole, but the shape of the armhole will make a huge difference in the way the sleeve sits on the arm. So we've definitely gotten very creative in adding different styles of sleeves. But we're always very realistic with brides up front, like what style will or won't work with their style of dress specifically, and different things that we can do to make a sleeve work, but it could always change the look of certain things. So like Tanis said, adding a spaghetti strap on a strapless gown. If you want a sleeve that's actually being sewn in, we do need something there.
Right to that cap of the spaghetti strap, because again, you're going to have that odd shape of an armhole, and there's nowhere really to fix that in.
And it can cause some like weird bubbling too if it's not on the right spot on your shoulder and on your arm. One big thing that we've done a lot this year are adding in full sleeves, but they're open underneath the arm. So like right when their arm is down, you can't really tell, but when they lift their armpit, it's actually separated from the dress because it allows for a little bit more movement, and then it also doesn't compromise the detail underneath. So we get a lot of the dresses that have like the mesh V panels under the arm. You can't really sew a sleeve into that, but everything all around looks like a
sleeve.
normal armhole
Yeah,
that you can
yeah.
put a sleeve, so it really just attaches along the top. When your arm is down, you can't fully tell, and then you've got that bit of a gap, but then it's still nice and tight and fitted on the rest of your arm. So there's kind of different creative ways
I was
to
gonna
make
say
it work.
creativity is the biggest thing. I think when you're looking for a tailor that fits to what your vision is, going over all of the solutions, there's always some form of a solution.
Right.
And I say that wholeheartedly because I feel like we've seen it all this year where we're like, how on earth is that going to happen?
Yeah.
But then, what's really great about our team is everybody can kind of put their design ideas in and come up with these really unique ways that the bride is like, wow, it really does look like I have a sleeve, but now I've got the comfort to move and I've made it work with a style I never thought was possible.
Okay.
I know we were briefly talking about how much can a dress come in? I think that's a common question that we're getting as well.
Yes.
Now, typically when you say you take a lace dress and then you take something that is a solid, let's say a crepe, right?
Yep.
If that dress is coming in multiple sizes, let's just say, for example, you're gonna see a lot more on the crepe dress than you are on, say, a lace or an embellished dress. Lace dresses and dresses with embellishing, there's a lot more opportunity to hide or add or remove because you've got all that detail. Whereas a crepe dress, when you're taking it in multiple sizes, especially if the back measurement is lower than the front, when you go to take that in, you've got quite a bit of a difference in your measurements, and that has to blend together. So that's where you'll start to see, okay, has that been taken in more than a couple sizes because you still need coverage in the front. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it definitely does depend on the style. We have had dresses that are a size, say 26, and they're going down to an 18.
Wow.
Absolutely doable. Again, that's where the creativity comes in of how are we going to make this work, and consultations are really important when that happens, right? But there's always a solution.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
And a lot of our designers are also showing bodysuits, which are a nice option for strapless dresses.
Yes.
Because then you have your arm coverage, you have your sleeves, but it's not affecting the strapless gown in itself.
Right.
So it's a good option to have.
Yeah,
Give the option
you
to.
give the option.
Yeah.
Now, our question for you is when you have a bride coming in, what are the things that they need to prepare and take into consideration when they're arriving at your boutique? What things should they have in hand ready to go to try on the selection of dresses that you have?
Great question. So prior to coming into the boutique, we always touch base with our brides, just kind of answer any questions that they have. And that is something that they might not be familiar, because if it is the first time they're going shopping for a wedding dress, do I bring shoes? Do I bring, whatever? But so what we say is just come in undergarments that you would feel comfortable being around the stylist with, just because our stylists are trained to be in the rooms to help the brides in and out of dresses. I mean, wedding dresses sometimes get too heavy, they have lots of layers, and we want to make sure there's no accidents in the room, so we have our stylists in there to help them step in and out of the dresses. Strapless bras are a great starting point, but in some of our dresses it may not be necessary. So depending on what they're trying on, our stylist might recommend them just to remove the bra, because they really need to feel the dress, especially with studios that have that built-in corset. You don't need any undergarments for that, designer. But shoes are not necessary at that point, because we do have our pedestal and our dresses are all different lengths depending on the designer. But definitely just bring an open mind and a strapless bra and any undergarments that they would feel comfortable being around the stylist.
Okay, that's amazing.
And I would say bring the guests with you that you want their opinion, the ones that you want to hear their opinion.
Yes,
There are some
absolutely.
people that maybe should stay at home.
Yes.
I'm just gonna be honest.
And I think, touching base on, I know we talk about this often, is coming in, like when we say feeling good, because we often do this in alterations, we'll say, you know, do your hair, put on some, like, it's your special moment to try on these gowns and embrace the person that you are.
Right.
I know we were talking about that, but also just being comfortable in your own skin, have fun with it. I mean, when we first came into the boutique, we were just amazed by the warmth and the variety and the fun. Like, this shouldn't be a stressful situation.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you have anything to touch on that, but for us as tailors, you know, we often have clients come in and we always say it's not about the size you wear, it's how you wear the size.
Yes.
That's always been a motto of ours, and something we talk about is when you try on these dresses, you want to feel incredible in the skin that you're in, not feeling like you have to be somebody else.
Totally.
We're just the alterationists that take it that little step forward of, let's show off your tushy because it looks fantastic. Or, you know, the curves that you have, like wear it, own it, because they look incredible, right? And
absolutely.
really highlighting the most beautiful parts of you, right? So I think that's a big one.
Yeah, you got to feel good when you're coming in and you're putting your dress on, whether it be, I think, when you're shopping or even when you're going into the fitting process, because you do have to, like, envision yourself in that special moment on your big day. And, you know, if you're coming in and you're like, oh, I feel gross today and I don't look great, and, you know, and then you're putting the dress on, you're not really feeling that, like, special feeling that you should be getting. And I think the planning process itself is already very overwhelming and very stressful. And, you know, when a bride is coming in and they're putting their dress on, we want them to feel like they're having fun and they're feeling excited for the wedding and forgetting about all the extra stress that they're having. So we do always tell our brides, like, do what you have to do to feel good before you put that dress on. And if you're not feeling good, you know, what can we do to change that mindset or that feeling before you put the dress on? Because you really should be in a good place and feeling good before, you know, you start to get
I love
into
your
that.
comment about the entourage. It does make a difference. Like, we find when brides are coming in for their alteration appointments on their own, you know, we're for it too, and we will be their entourage, but bringing in the right people that are going to make you feel empowered and great is what it's all all about, right?
Yeah,
Through
makes
the
a
process.
huge difference.
It does, yeah, it really
Having a
does.
supporting group around you.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think too, like, a lot of brides might think, like, this is the one and only time that this person can come because I want them to be there, but there are other appointments. They can come back for an accessory appointment. Maybe that's when you bring that aunt or that sister with you.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
you can put the dress back on, and it's just about opinions about accessories.
Exactly.
Or for your pickup appointment, your meet the dress appointment, bring that person with you, because then it's special.
Well, this is it. And we were just saying, like, when it comes to the alterations timeline of things. So typically for alterations, for our clients, we book them in for a standard 4 appointments. That's a typical standard timeline as to how many times you're going to be seeing our faces. Maybe more. It just depends how you're feeling.
Right.
We do book that full appointment schedule out just so brides have that expectation of knowing, okay, this is when I'm going to be coming next. And they can also see the dress transition to it being their gown. When it comes to the family, we often will say, you know, on the 3rd and pickup appointments, bring somebody with you, because that's when we start getting into the fun training of the dress. So you've got like the bustle, you've got what accessories they're wearing, how the veil's gonna go in. You want that person with you to kind of have all those tasks the morning of so that you can enjoy your day. So we definitely recommend the 3rd or the pickup having somebody. Now, not all the time, and this is a good tip for a lot of brides, can they bring somebody who isn't available? So what we will do is we'll have one of our other team members actually film the appointment of the training, whether it be, okay, this is how you're going to put the bustle in, this is where you find the hook or the loop, and we'll go through all of that so they've got that tool on the wedding day to pull out if they forget, if their sister or their mom or their best friend wasn't there, and that just helps make it a more seamless process.
Super helpful. That's awesome.
That's great.
One thing I will say is that, you know, our brides tend to be more on the nervous side, I think, than probably any other brides. During your appointment, we are not talking about sizes.
I say it wholeheartedly, but be a little vulnerable. But the reality is we want to know how you're feeling.
My favorite thing to tell brides is be annoying.
Be annoying.
In some cases, additional support may be needed, and that's where kind of that comes into alterations.
You're like, a hoop?
Yeah.
What is that?
Hula hoop.
There's a hula hoop that goes with your dress.
I don't ever heard of them.
We have not.
They're really great.